Now guys, how you doing? So, joining my lovely wife, Sophie. We've got little Finlay here as well. I
Say
did say,
hello.
I went, are you ready? Yeah?
She
She's not
said,
doing
yeah.
it now. She said, yeah, before. Uh, whoa, yeah, sunshine. So, first of all, I just want to say, we put a video out just over a week ago explaining about what's happened to me with a stroke, and I talked through about how it affected my mental health. And I've just been absolutely overwhelmed with the support and well wishes from everyone. If I'm honest with you, I didn't expect that. I thought I would just get a barrage of abuse. If I'm honest with you, I didn't realise how much you guys actually cared about me as a person and as a creator. So I just want to say thank you very much, because it has brought a tear to my eye on a few occasions, and also looking at how many people are in a similar same situation to what I'm in and what me and Sophie are in as a couple, because it's difficult. Uh, so we went to Benny's, good old sunny Benidorm. We booked an holiday with kids. We took me, Sophie, and 5 kids went to Benidorm. Stayed in what hotel Tropical Splash,
Magical tropical
Magic
splash.
Tropical Splash. I'll be honest with you, it did what it said on the tin. It was a 3-star plus hotel. So when you've got 5 kids, the rooms were probably adequate enough for the hammering that they were going to get with our kids running up and down wet through, throwing stuff about, just enjoying the holiday, and me not worrying too much about scratching paintwork and what have you. So it wasn't too bad. The food were alright. There were a bit of an idiot waiter when I did have a bit of a go, didn't I?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's by the by. I had a good break, met some people out there in Benidorm, bumped into some people, and a lot of people talking to me and saying, oh, I've seen your video. People in the hotel, very friendly and talking. Bumped into Martin and Bex. They were out there. Bex didn't have a clue who I was. Martin does, because we've had a conversation before about doing a takeaway. She stood there, she's thinking, oh, here's this fat guy. So, but what we said in that first video is that, if anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask me, then I'd answer them. So here we go. So you're going to read some
Yeah,
questions
so
out,
I've
are you?
got some questions and I do want to say thank you, like from all of us, like all your support team around you,
Yeah.
because it has proper been humbling. I was really nervous about you sharing, but I really wanted you to as well. And I think it's felt like a big weight off his shoulders. It's been like a real relief, but
Yeah.
this is more about asking you
A lot of a
questions.
lot
I'll
of a
talk
lot of
more.
my friends who already knew, who already supported me, were messaging me saying, "Well done, Dan," and it's about time. And like I say, off the back of this, it's not me wanting sympathy and all that. What it was designed, or what I wanted to do with it is, one, be honest, because there were quite a lot of comments, but two, is just say to other people, uh, things happen in life that we don't expect, that knock us for 10, and instead of lying down and taking the cards you've been dealt, make another deck, make your own destiny. That's what I'm trying to do, and with the help and support of my family and friends, that's what I've been able to achieve so far. So I'm grateful for that. I mean, just before we started, like when we were in the hotel, I think it was the last night, on Thursday night, or Friday night, should I say, and somebody recognised me in the dinner hall. Dinner hall, at school.
Back to Harry
what,
Potter days.
what my dinner lady? Somebody recognised me in the dinner hall, and he, should I say, his son come and asked me for a photo. And then this guy, he said, if you ever want a sports massage, for your stroke, I've helped a lot of stroke victims. And he went on to tell me that, he used to work in finance and all this, but he just woke up one morning and become fully blind in one eye and partially blind in the other eye. And for the first month or so, he was like, "What am I going to do here? I can't do my job. What am I going to do?" So he did sports massage, and that's what he does. And he's created himself a nice business. He lives down London, And he says, you know, he does some things with some, you know, footballers and superstars and whatever. And I thought, do you know what, that I couldn't imagine just waking up and just not being able to see or being able to see properly. It's just, you know, the difficulties I've had, and then, you know, you think of other people. But again, this bloke has decided, right, well, this has happened. What can I do? How can I carry on with life and do what I want to do? And he's found something, and he says he enjoys it more than his previous job. He does have difficulties sometimes. Some days are better than others, but he still does what he's got to do. Right, things. Yeah.
Yes, she's just saying she's here. She's letting you know. You might not be able to see her, but she's definitely here.
She's here now,
Yeah.
can't you?
And also just on the hotel, since you've shared about it, it were really nice. I forgot to tell you this because you were in bed quite a lot, and it was really nice for me to be able to just be honest about where you were.
Yeah.
Because there's so much like.
Yeah, because we got up, didn't we? And we like, because I'm an early bird, so I get up and I'm, like I said before, I'm quite, you know, in the morning that's when I've got my most energy. But then, like, even on holiday, because we did a lot of walking up and down to the beach and stuff, it really did take it out of me as well. And so, like, in the afternoon, probably around 3:30, I'd go for a sleep, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
We'll go for siesta. Like in Spain, I can have a siesta, and then I'd be up at 6, ready to go, for you know, get ready for tea. But yeah, you were speaking to people without Paul, weren't you?
Yeah,
being honest for
it
the
were
change.
nice because there were one day where you were just in bed because you
Yeah.
were exhausted and fatigued, and because people forget we're just talking. Because one person said, "Oh well, you've been relaxing," and I'm like, "Yeah, but he's been talking to everyone."
Yeah.
So then that will also fatigue his brain.
It does my brain, doesn't it, if I'm talking for a long time. So it's like, even doing this now, it will, like, afterwards, as it drags on to, it's like Tuesdays, I do my radio show live in studio on a Tuesday for LDC Radio 97.8 FM. If you're not in Leeds and Bradford, you can download the app and listen to me all over the world. But I do it live from the studio, and I have a co-host, Matt, and when Matt first joined me, because he joined me last year, I've been doing it for a couple of years on my own, and when Matt first joined me, he's like, I had to tell him what was going on, and obviously I've known Matt for a while, and halfway through the show, sometimes he has to jump in. He's aware of this, because my brain just goes, or it's foggy, or I don't, you know, I start saying something that doesn't even, because I get that tired. It's like a mist, and I'm like, and I know what I've got to do. It's like being trapped inside a glass. So anyway, let's get to the questions.
Let's get to questions, right? So, were there any warning signs, somebody asked, before the stroke? So in the months leading up to it.
Now this is pretty weird, isn't it? Because I didn't think so. I just thought, because at that time I was under a lot of pressure, under a lot of stress. I got a lot going on. We just, you know, we got through Christmas, and there were a few, like, so it were more business deals, wasn't it, that were going on, and things to do with business and rate my takeaway and which direction, and it was tough, and a lot of it was stressing me out. But I think that question would be more better for you to answer, because you obviously you were there, and you said that there were changes in my mood.
Yeah, there were definite changes in your personality. In hindsight, that's the hard thing, isn't it? Because I did think one night, just before she were born, is what's happened? Like,
Yeah.
is something awful happened? Because your mood suddenly just changed. Not even the depression side, it was more, you've always, like, you're a passionate person, so you're fiery, you've always got that, but your level of it was like just, and it was just not you.
Yeah.
And you couldn't rationalise the same way that you normally. So Danny's normally the one, I ask him for advice, and he, like, kind of oversees.
I think it's like, obviously people see me on Rate My Takeaway, you know, how accommodating I am to people, and I've always been like that, and I'll talk to anyone, and but there's a different side to me as well, where I'm quite a protective person, especially when it comes to my family, but also, as you know, because I'm not embarrassed to put a table and chair up in the middle of a busy city centre. and eat my food. Therefore, I'm not embarrassed to confront people neither, which sometimes can be a bit.
Yeah. I like that about you,
Yeah.
because you'll say it how it is, and that's the
But I think
background.
leading up to it, I was just, if I'm honest, I was just a little bit like snappy towards you, and I think it's because I didn't really know what going on with my body.
I think it was more the Pandora's box that you have. It got smaller,
Yeah.
and so it was like what would normally upset you would send you way off, and then. But it wasn't consistent. That was the thing. So it wasn't enough to notice. It was just like, do you know when people get really stressed out that they're kind of acting a little bit irrational?
Like, you know, anybody that knows me close will know that. You know, I am a nice guy and I'll do anything for people, but also if you upset me as well, I'll let you know about it. So like in hotel, we were talking to somebody yesterday morning at breakfast, and the guy happened to be sat just across from us the previous night, and basically, I'll get through this story quick, but there was this guy, a Spanish waiter, and you know, all week we were sitting in the same place, right? There's 7 of us, so we get a table for 6 and we'll put an high chair on the end. And it worked really well. But then for some reason, on Thursday night, I don't know if he had a bad mood or if his missus had told him he's not going to get none or whatever, but he come into work and he were up everybody's backside. And we walked in and he said to me, he went, "Hey, how many? How many?" And I went, "Same as every other day, pal, since we've been here, 7 of us." And 2 of the girls, they were still upstairs getting ready, and we said we'd meet you down there. And he says, "Well, you can't have a table for 4. I says, "No, we need a table for 6. Table for 4. And I just sat down. I says, "Look, pal, I'm not having this." So we sat down, and then another family come, didn't they? This woman, and it must have been her daughter. And they were the same, 6 people, and they were waiting for a couple to come along. And
we all know what it's like travelling with teens.
Yeah. So they started to sit down, and he went in on them. And I mean, he went in on them, and he's shouting at them, and he's pulling tables about, and he's telling them to go sit. And he put them against the wall and told them, "Go sit there." So they went over to sit down, and they decided they were just going to go to the back of the restaurant and try and get another table. And he hunted them down and had a go, and he pulled them back, and it was like, really, it was degrading to watch, to be honest. That a grown man speaking to a woman and a child the way that he did. It didn't sit right with me, did it?
No.
And all night I was thinking and I said to Sophie, I said, "He's out of order, this guy. We're out of order doing that." I says, "That was, in front of a restaurant full of people. And I don't like that kind of stuff. I can't stand bullies. I hate bullies. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid for being a big lad, and so like growing up then I realised I could use that to my advantage and take on the bullies. So So we went down for dinner Friday night and we walked in.
I already knew you're brewing at this point.
Yeah, he's there again. And I said to Sophie, I says, "Do you know what? I'm tired today, so I hope this guy's not going to be in the same mood as he was yesterday, else he's going to get it." And so he walks up, same table. So he comes up, "How many?" I went, "Same as every other day, pal, 7. And he went, "Well, this is a table for 6. I says, "Yeah, but we put an high chair on the end." So he went, "Okay, but you put the high chair at that end." And I went, "No, we put the high chair at this end." He says, "No, you put it at that end." Now, at this other end of the table, is just behind it, right? And I mean just behind it, probably the width of 2 sofas. If I'm walking behind a baby chair to get to this table that's got all the ham and cheese on, I'm knocking into the baby chair. At the other side, it's as wide as 3 or 4 of me, so there's plenty of room. And I said to him, "Mate, let me stick it this side, because if my baby's in there and somebody walks past and hits her because it's directly behind her," I said, "I'm coming for you, pal." And he turned to me, didn't he, and he went, "Oh, big man." And that was it. My head went. I went, "Big man?" I said, "I'm fucking bigger than you, pal." Sorry. And, my daughter, she's like, "Oh, here he goes." I said, "I'm telling you now, if she gets knocked, pal, I'm knocking you clean out. Let's have you." I says, "You're an absolute idiot. You're a bully." I says, "You've been shouting at people for days." I said, "It's not on." Like everybody at restaurants looking at and they're thinking, "Hey, look at told me it might take away kicking off." And so then I was walking around the restaurant, because it's obviously a buffet style. I'm getting every time I walked past him, I just went, "Bully! Bully!" like that, because he was doing it. And he got the message in the end, and he just put his head down, didn't he, and sheepishly walked off. Then as we were leaving the hotel yesterday morning, he turned up for work, and I walked past. I went, "See you, bully!" because that's what it was. But yeah, that's the difference with me. I'm not. I will confront people when I and tell them.
But I think your tolerance has got a lot more reduced because you've
rather
lost
than
that.
be able to sit and think about situations. I go from A to C and I miss out B sometimes, which can be a bit of a problem. Right, question two.
Okay, question 2. What caused your stroke and why don't you just eat healthy?
So, right. So eating...
By the way, these are what people have asked, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not like having a dig as a wife. I know the context.
Right, so, I'm an honest guy, so I'm going to be honest with you. All right, I had a blood clot in the side of my brain that were brought on by stress. All right, but I'm not naive to the fact my weight probably didn't help. Okay, I'm not stupid to sit here and say that's what it was, so that's what it is, because I'm not daft. All right, and I know this. But also, I'm not daft enough to sit here and say, yeah, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to get to the gym, I'm going to do it, because believe me, right, I've tried to exercise more, right, people, you look at me, right, and you'll think that I'm eating shite all the time, and I'm not, or that I sit and eat loads of things, and I don't. My problem is, and it always has been, is that I don't eat the right things at the right times, should I say, because I can skip breakfast. Sometimes I can skip breakfast and lunch and just go straight to tea, because I'm that busy. I'll just grab a coffee and I'll be gone, and I don't think of eating. Sophie goes mad. If I'm at radio, I put my radio bag I call it, and there's blinking bananas and packed lunches in there. I'm like, what is she doing? But then I scran it, and do you know what? I've done diets. I've done Slimming World and all that. I've lost 3 stone before, and I wasn't happy. Not because of the diet, just in myself. I just didn't feel happy. So we are changing things. I have, I don't eat as many biscuits and stuff that I used to do I? Let's be honest. And I used to be that was my Achilles heel.
And even on holiday, you were good.
So on holiday,
a lot better than you were.
Definitely. A lot of people, again, if people saw me in a hotel, they'll back me and say that I were at the cheese and ham. I like the Serrano ham and salami, stuff like that, and cheese. So rather than go for the burgers, and they had kebabs on every night, I had a little bit of kebab meat to try it, and it will bang on. It were a 10-10. But I decided to look breakfast. I was having ham and cheese instead of bacon and sausages and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm a stickler for croissants. I love them. But instead of having them every day like I usually do when I go on holiday, I cut in half what I had, because I usually have a massive plate full when I go on holiday, because it's like it's treat time, like everybody does. But I cut it in half and I had it every other day. And then, so I had bacon on the first day, so like bacon, sausage, egg, beans, all that on the first day, and I had it on the last day. In between, it was all cheese and ham, and then alternated croissants. So, I do get what you're saying. I am trying. The exercise side of things is quite difficult because of the fatigue. When I've got back, I've not even told Sophie this. I've received a letter from a psychiatrist that I was seeing, and he's talking there about the fatigue and the struggles that I have with the fatigue and how it affects what I'm doing. But she has put a plan together for me and puts coping strategies for me to do different things. So, I'm not naive to think it's probably not because of my weight. I've always been a big lad, and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm going to carry on. Obviously, my job has, I'm not saying that my job doesn't have an impact. I only have little bites of things, unless I really, really like it and I'm starving, and I'll have a couple more than I should. But the cameraman and the editor, if they're there, they do tell me to stop. We have changed the way that we film so that I'm not eating as much fatty stuff regular. I'm doing it in a bit of a block now, so then I can try and sort it out as I go along.
I think as well, those kind of questions, I know because I'm also a part-time personal trainer, they come from people who haven't struggled necessarily with food, or they've already come through the journey and are like, Well, you can just eat healthy.
Yeah, I've said this before. I've said this time and time again that you know, people that are that are fit, right, that go to the gym, so that enjoy, because you enjoy training.
I love
Sophie loves walking, exercise.
I
She
enjoyed,
loves
didn't
it.
I? Last
Yeah.
night, I don't want a takeaway. I enjoy eating
Yeah.
healthy.
So what you know, what these people do is then go on at people that are overweight, and they say, you know, I think what were her name? What's her with big nose? Always carrying on. Basically, she just doesn't like
I'm
anyone.
gonna start naming
She
people,
doesn't
and then
like-
you're gonna do me
She
in
doesn't
because I
like
might get wrong
anyone
first.
apart from herself. And
Katie
sometimes
Hopkins.
that's the woman.
I did think that, and then I
Yeah.
thought I might start just doing people in with.
No, sometimes
protruding
I agree with what
noses.
she says because she's honest, and I appreciate that, and I love people like that. And she said it before, and she's gone, you're fat because you're eating crap and you don't exercise. And what I say to her is this, right? People don't exercise for numerous reasons. One, it could be a health reason. It could be, you know, they can't do it. You know, two, they don't want to do it. They are lazy, right? But let me tell you about me, right? I would love to get to the gym and do all that. I would love to be, you know, going down and socialising with people at gym, having a laugh and doing a few weights and all this. But I know for the fact my mindset just ain't going to be there because it's difficult. And I've said to Sophie before when she was doing personal training, I said to her, you know, you say to somebody, right, do 10 sit-ups, who goes to the gym, bang, they do it. You say to a fat get like me, do 10 sit-ups, I'm 2 sit-ups in and my back's breaking. It's hard, right? It's hard because our bodies are not used to doing that. Our bodies are not used to being in those positions, muscles having to learn new things, all right? And again, I know people are going to be saying, well, do it then. Do it, fat knacker, all right? But I've got other things that I want to do instead. And it's not sat down eating food. It's running around like a lunatic, doing things that I'm doing so that I can give my family a decent lifestyle. And again, I know people are going to say, well, what good's the lifestyle without you being here? I am trying. This is what I'm saying. I'm trying.
Yeah. And you are trying, and you've got to bear in mind sorry, I had to hide it from Athena. Yeah. You've got to bear in mind as well that it's a journey. So last year, trying to get your mental health in a state where you even wanted to be here was a challenge.
Well, I think that brings on to the last question, doesn't it?
Let alone then actually getting you wanting to live and eat healthy, and it's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And me having a go at you all the time will not work, or other people having a go, because you'll just feel worse and then mentally worse, and then just want to crave what comforts you. So anyway, will you continue with your channel?
Yes. And the reason why is because it's not the food, it's the enjoyment that I get from being a content creator, doing what I do, you know, mixing with the community, but also, do you know what the enjoyment I get out of it is? When I'm helping small independent businesses who are struggling, all of a sudden they've got a platform, they've got a voice, they've been noticed, they've got customers coming in to try the food. That, you know, some of them go viral, some of them, you know, and I always go back to this. My 4th ever review was Abdul's, and it's still one of my favourites. And that place, you know, is since that, you know, that review, it's not just down to me because the food's amazing anyway, but the awareness that it created. And Abdul often phones me and we talk about it, and he's like, still gets people in from this day that have seen the video, and he's just got a queues and queues all the time of people who don't do deliveries. All right, so people go on, they stood there, they're waiting half an hour for the food to be cooked, and they enjoy it. And that to me is a win, because it's what I wanted to do, it's what I wanted to achieve with Rate My Takeaway. Wearing a hat makes me have a headache sometimes.
Does it?
Yeah, it does me head in. So you know, I will continue. Like I said, we will just watch what I'm doing, what I'm eating, and how much I eat of it.
And you're walking around more, aren't you? You're walking places more, and
yeah, I'm trying. So, you know, and it's like, obviously, some people, oh well, it's a drain on NHS and all this. It's not, because Sophie will tell you, and my doctors will tell you, I'm an absolute nightmare for trying to get to see him. I'd rather wait till I'm on slab before I go.
The amount of times I've tried to take away your right of
yeah.
attorney to get you to go.
Yeah, she has.
I have, honestly.
And then obviously, we pay for private healthcare as well, so that it's not a drain. But yeah, no, I will continue.
Yeah.
And I will,
And you love it. You get a buzz when you've helped a small business. Like Abdul. When you've helped them actually boost what they do, and you hear their story, it's much more than just the food, isn't it? And food for you is about family, love.
Yeah, obviously out of this as well, we are going to be looking at, and I'm going to be looking at creating different kinds of content as well. So we're in the middle of a house move, and when we've moved on this channel, I'm going to be doing a little bit of cooking at home, because I use air fryer and all that. So we'll look at some healthier options. And I'm going to try and do some takeaway dinners at home. That'll be quite fun.
Yeah, some takeaways.
Yeah. But then also, I think on the mental health side of things, because, I hit that point, which I didn't think I'd ever do. I'm in a position where, a lot of people, a lot of you come on here and said that you've been in the same way, you felt the same way. So, like, rate my mind, I really want to keep that going now and get it. It's not on this one, is it? It's on the other one. Get it going. So, I told Johnny Morgan at Silverbacks and Big Dave, it's something that we're going to meet up and talk about shortly, and absolutely start smashing it out there, because, I think as much as I love doing like the food reviews as well, I'd love to do, spearhead mental health things and chats and podcasts and stuff like that as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, well,
thank you so much, everyone. Because already in this first week since you've shared, it's like proper helped us as well.
So we've answered some of the questions.
There's loads more, by the way, but we'll do that on another.
So next one up is going to be we're going to be talking to you about how it's affected you and family life and your mental well-being as well, and the stresses, because I think that's important that people understand it's not, it's happened to me. And I was sat in self-pity at one point, which I'm quite happy to say that I just couldn't be arsed with the world, and why are you all bothering with me? I'm useless, blah blah blah, all this. Didn't think of the negative impact that then has on my wife and my kids and family and friends. So I think next up, over to you.
Oh gosh, I'll actually.
So yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon.
Peace, love, shimmy.